Now, I don't know if it's just me, but every time President Museveni actually speaks on any platform, it doesn't matter what platform, African, EU, whatever it is, the man just says as it is, and I think this is what gets people fired up. So recently we saw that the president actually told the West to get out of Somalia, okay, and people cheered, people liked it, and so on and so forth. But I think there's something that the president fell short of actually saying, and this is what we're going to look at in this video. But before we do that, I want you to listen at this short clip. It's only a soundbite. It's only 17 seconds out of the main video clip. I'm not going to play the whole video clip. I'm going to put the link if you want in the main video clip, but we're just going to play a 17-second clip. Take a listen to this clip here.
Whatever you are, you don't impose yourself on me, nor do I impose myself on you. The second one is that these Western countries pulling out, this is not a problem. If they want to pull out, they pull out.
Listening to that short clip, obviously, I respect the principle of African sovereignty, okay, African solutions, and the way an African leader should actually be. You don't rely on the West, you can do things on your own, and that's a good thing, and that's the right language that is supported in terms of African sovereignty. But here's the part that nobody's really saying, particularly the consequences that come with this. Now, this was at the AUSSOM, which is the African Union's peacekeeping mission that is based in Somalia. And the whole reason for that peacekeeping mission is to stabilize the country, Somalia, and to hold back, terrorist groups like Al-Shabaab and other terrorist groups as well, and then also to maintain peace within the region and to make sure that there's a functioning state such as Somalia. But this is the main goal. But the only problem with that is that this comes at an enormous cost. This does not come cheap. Putting troops on the ground is not something that comes cheap, okay? And that cost is still heavily dependent on external contributions. The West have to come in, you've got the EU have to come in, and so on and so forth. And the issue that we've seen recently is that the United Nations Security Council has been deadlocked on sustainable financing for this particular operation, to the point that we've seen that the United States of America is pulling back, the EU is pulling back, and the African Union, I'm not sure to what extent they are involved in this particular operation to the point that they can provide funding for it. So this is where the problem is. So the question here is not whether Africa can manage this whole operation by funding it, but the main issue that we've seen with African leaders, with all due respect, the president of Uganda himself, is the defiance, that boldness that is not usually backed up by some kind of a financial plan or financial architecture to say, well, as Africans, this is what we're going to do. You can pack your bags and go. However, this is what we're going to do. We fund this in this way, that way, and so on and so forth. So right now, when we see all these countries pulling out of Somalia and everything, it's just going to leave a vacuum, which is simply going to be filled up by someone else who's got the finances. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy, because this is like a married man that is so full of pride, ego, saying, chasing your wife and say, well, I can manage, you can do this, you can go, I don't care, But meanwhile, you've got small little kids, okay? Now, as soon as your wife goes, you start struggling with the upkeep, you start struggling with how to manage things, the day-to-day things that you were struggling with. And then once you fail to keep up with whatever it is, you start looking at other options and say, well, I think I might do with probably marrying someone else who could actually help me to look after these kids. It's exactly the same kind of scenario here. Exactly the same kind of scenario where as soon as the West goes out, as soon as the EU goes, instead of Africa as a continent taking hold of these kind of things, you find that it will simply be other countries, where powers such as China or Russia coming in to take over from where the West actually left from. So this is where the problem is. But for as long as African leaders do not reach that stage where they want to say, well, you can go and we're going to find ourselves, there's always going to be a vacuum that someone else will simply fill it up. So it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.